So now we are going to understand how to use forms in React. And as I told you, forms are everywhere. If you go to Instagram posting a comment, you're doing a form submission. If you go to any website, there's a discussion, Reddit, you are writing down your discussions, post it, that's a form, right? So we'll start small as we usually do, and then we progress to complexity. So we have this example. So what I did, I just created this forms uh, route and just created a page.tsx so that when we go to slash forms, we have this thing. So we are doing few things here. So first of all, we have our component declaration here, and then we have two properties here, name and age. What we're doing, we are inside our JSX, we have this input form and this input form. I would rather show you the, I can just zoom it in. So now you have two input box, name and age, and whatever we type here, we can see we are seeing it here. And if we type our age, let's say 22, we're saying the age is 22. So pretty simple example of forms, right? But will increase complexity with time. So let's go to our code here and see what's going on. So we have two input field as we see, and then we have this on change event listener, right? So we are passing this handle name change. What it is doing, it accepting an event and setting the name to that event. But that event is an object which has a target and which has a value. So the first thing we can do, we can just simply console log that so that you guys can see E is here, and then I can show you E. And if I go back to inspect console, and if I start typing, see now we have this event here, and that event has a target, and target has a value. See, this is the value, and this is what we are grabbing. And this event has a lot of things which you can use if you want, but we are not going to use them now. We are keeping things simple. So it has a type of change, on change, because React changes the change property to on change, which is fine. And if I go back here, so we have E, and we're grabbing the E dot target and value, whatever we're typing in the input box, and setting the name as it is, as whatever we're grabbing, right? This is what we're doing. And at the end, we have this button. So I didn't tell you, like everything is inside a form. So we have this form which has two inputs and a button. When we press this button, this on submit gets triggered. So if you go to submit form, so this get triggered. Now what we are doing here. So if you see, we are just alerting that form is submitted, which is I mean quite simple. If I do that and it says form submitted, fine. Let me close that. But we can do few things here. What we can do first of all, why do we have this prevent default? Um, so basically, e dot prevent default will stop the page from refreshing. So stop the page from refreshing when we trying to submit the form. So this is pretty important. So you always do that. You do always do e dot prevent default so that when you submit the form, it just doesn't reload before the data is gone, right? So that's here. And then we have alert, which is simple thing. Now we can do few things. Why don't we just show like what we typed inside it and showed that in alert, right? So what you can do, we can put that change so that we can do string interpolation, right? And we can pass it name here, and we can pass oh, our age, and we need the dollar sign, and we can pass the age. And if I go here, if I submit, it says the name is this and age is this. Pretty cool and easy stuff. So far we just have two properties, name and age. The handle name change and handle age change just grabs those values from the uh, browser and send it back to us via this event, and we are storing that in the set name and set age, so that name has that value stored, and we are passing it here. Pretty simple. I don't think there's any complexity here, but the few things we can improve here. First of all, let's say we have 5 or 6 or 7 fields here, then we need to write uh, like this set of function like 7 8 times if we have 7 field, right? And then we have all those single variables, and if you want to change any of them, you need to go and change all of them here, which is kind of It's not tidy, it's not neat. We can just improve it a little bit. So what we can do, instead of that, let's create a variable called const full data. Just giving a random name, I know it's not a good name, but just in case it has many fields, right? And it has a use state, what I'm doing. And instead of passing a variable, let's pass an object with name property and give it initial value empty, and an age property, give it an initial value of empty again, right? Now, why we did here? Let's comment this out for now. Now we have some red wiggly line here. We can improve that. It's no big deal. So first of all, wherever we have name, that is change uh, to full data dot name, because this is the object, right? So literally what we're doing, we are creating like full data is equal to, it has a name property, let's say John, and it will have age property, which will be, let's say, number 22. So that is how the full data looks like. And if you want to print the name, how would you do? You just change the name to full data dot name, and similarly we can do for full data dot age. Again, we can do here as well. Let's copy full data here and paste it in front of that, have a dot. I know. And we can do that same here. Now we have lesser squiggly lines. That's good. Again, value is changing. Let's give it a name. So but let's see how many errors we have. We have this set name because we don't have a set name now. We have a set full data. So let's pass that both of there. And now it's complaining. It's saying argument of type string is not assignable to set. Say we have an object here and we are just passing string. This is a string, right? And it accepts an object. So what we do? So what we can do? We can change it, and we can change it to what? Now that's the question for you. If I just do, let's say, name e dot target dot value, and then if we do age e dot target dot value, now error is gone. Let's copy that here and pass it here, but we have a problem. Now everything, if we type, if we go to browser here, if I type here, see, now this input field is getting triggered, because if you check here, we're just passing our whole object, which isn't correct. So what we can do? What we can do here, instead of passing the name property, here we need the name, right? It's a name change. So what we can do, we can delete this age because we don't need it, and we can pass our object here uh, full data and like that, because now we have our full data. We are just changing the name value. Whatever the age can remain same. And same here, what we can do, we can copy that and we can paste it here. And instead of name, we can do age. Now we're just copying whatever the object was before, and we just updating the age property. And I know this can feel like crazy JavaScript stuff, but stop and think about it. If we change the value of both name and age, if you're typing name, the age will change, right? We don't want to do that, because we were saying like if we change name, even age was getting triggered. So what we did, we passed inside the object, we're just updating the object, that's it. And if you're not sure what's going on here, I would say just go back and review that JavaScript. Like, how can you update an object? How can you update a single property without changing the other properties? So this is what we're doing here. It's that easy, right? Yeah, I know it just takes some time for your mind to like tick, but once it gets tick, then I think you'll be fine. And I think that should be good. I think we should not have any bug. Let's review it. Let's say John 22, and if I do submit, from submitted John and 22. Now we did something. We started from very simple name and age property, then we removed that, and we just created our object. And now if you need like 10 properties, you can just add it here. Single object is managing all the other uh, properties. We don't need to create special set names, set age, set address. We don't need to do that. We can just create one object, and it's easier to track, because here, let's say you pass age, you can find a bug. Oh, I'm just updating age here and here, right? We don't want to do that. So Yeah, I know it's getting a little longer, but this is what I wanted to share with you guys, especially around forms. Uh, in the next, we are going to talk about, uh, we can either talk about forms validation, or we can move that form validation to maybe when we do the project, right? Because uh, I think it's time for you guys to learn more about other hooks in React. So I think we're gonna start with the use reducer hook. I think this is one of the most important concept, and then we have the context APIs and everything coming up, so that you guys know about that. And after that, maybe we do a tiny project where we'll be using forms, validation, and all the crazy hooks. Yeah. So see you next time.